For the third time this decade, Social Security recipients will not be receiving a cost of living increase. With us now to discuss is WSJ economics reporter Nick Timiraos in our Washington bureau. Hi, Nick. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
So, Nick, is it the soft inflation and the drop in gas prices that are partly to blame for benefits not increasing?
Yeah, that's really the story. You can blame the low gas prices that we've had, the falling gas prices, rather, that we've had over the past year, for the fact that if you collect Social Security, your check will not increase next year. And as you noted, that's the third time that's happened this decade. Until 2010, and since the current formula for the annual cost of living adjustment was set by Congress in the mid-1970s, we had never seen that. We had always had an increase because the formula is pegged to a certain inflation gauge, and that inflation gauge came out today and it showed that we actually had a decline in prices over the year ended in the third quarter, and so that is the reason there won't be an increase in checks next year.
All right, so the absence of any cost of living increase also means that Medicare premiums won't be increasing for many people, is that right? And then going up for others?
That's right. So for most people, their Medicare comes out of their Social Security, and in those cases there's what's called a hold harmless provision, where if there is no increase in your Social Security check, then your Medicare premium can't go up. So that's about 70% of people who use Medicare Part B. Their premiums will be the same next year. But for the other 30%, what happens is they have to shoulder whatever the increase would be. And so actuaries for Medicare in July estimated that would be a 52% increase. And so right now, government officials at the Department of Health and Human Services, which oversee the Medicare program, are figuring out how they're going to address that. Is there anything they can do to try to ease that burden? And it may require Congress getting involved here.
All right. Now, this year's low inflation could also hold down Social Security benefit increases in future years. Can you explain why that is?
Yeah, so what happens is every year the government says the cost of living adjustment is based on the year-over-year change in a certain inflation measure as of the third quarter. But in years in which there is no inflation, you have to actually go back to the last year in which there was inflation. So next year when we go through the same exercise, we're going to be measuring not the year-over-year change in inflation from 2015 to 2016, but rather from 2014 to 2016, because that was the last year in which prices went up. So what will happen is, let's say prices go up 2%. As measured by this inflation gauge next year, you won't actually see a 2% increase in Social Security benefits in the cost of living adjustment, and that's because you'll be measuring it from a year ago when we were actually 0.4% higher than we are now. So no benefit increase next year, and don't expect a big one in 2017 unless we have a huge run-up in inflation, which doesn't look terribly likely right now.
All right, Nick Timiraos, thank you so much for that.
Thank you.